Hello, I'm Mike Hackard. I'm the chair of Hackard Law, a law firm focusing on estate trust and elder financial abuse litigation in California's major urban areas. This is Hackard Law's podcast. It starts here. This is an August 2017 podcast featuring Pat McClain. And I'll give you a little background on Pat, but you may already know it. But he's a co-founder and senior partner of Hanson McClain Advisors. He's been in business for more than 24 years. He has over 200 billion, or I'm sorry, I had a couple there, but 2 billion under management. He's listed as the top 100 Barron's wealth advisors. He's been co-host of Money Matters radio show for over 20 years, and it's one of the longest, if not the longest running financial talk radio shows in the country. And he is the chairman of the board of Sacramento Food Bank, and for many years he's, I think, led that effort and the Run to Feed the Hungry on Thanksgiving Day. So thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me here.
Well, it's great to have you here. There are a lot of areas we can cover, but let's start with, what have you been doing lately? I know that you've had a few recent things going on.
Oh, in the last month or so, we actually took some private equity money, which means we sold part of our firm to a private equity firm to allow us to grow the firm, both organically and inorganically. So Hanson McClain still runs the firm. We're still responsible for day-to-day operations, but we're engaged in conversations with other like-minded firms for them to come into the fold. So hopefully in the next 6, 7, 8 months, we'll be announcing the firm getting larger through inorganic growth or acquisitions through smaller firms than ourselves.
And do you have any particular geographic focus on doing that?
The geographic focus is mostly the Western United States. We're in some pretty deep conversations with some firms right now in the Midwest and Western United States. So it's exciting. It's I think what we do is important. I think we do it pretty well. And so the idea that we could grow this and serve more people is important to us.
The other thing that you're known for is charity work, such as the Run to Feed the Hungry. Tell me, when did that start? What got you into that?
Oh, so my relationship with the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services, when you talk about the Run to Feed the Hungry, goes back to when I was in college. And I had a business class and I had a case study, and we chose the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. I did a case study on it in a business class. God, how long ago was that? 32 years ago. And that was my first introduction. And then once I started doing okay in business, I started giving them some money. And where the money goes, the heart sometimes follows. And so joined the board. And anyway.
And now you're the chair of that whole effort.
For a period of time.
Okay. And last year, how many people ran?
I don't even remember the number. In 20,000 or 24,000, or it's a large number of people. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. So.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So you've got the radio show. You've had it for so many years. You have podcasting. You speak at hundreds of conventions. So all of this came out of something. What originally inspired you in this field?
I bought my first stock when I was 17, Roosevelt telephone stock. You can send in $10 and they send you a share. So I bought my first stock when I was in high school. But as I went through college, I actually realized how little people actually know about money and financial matters, including what you do for a living, which is estate planning. Some people have a more of an aptitude to understand numbers and money and how it relates. And as I was going through college, I realized what a gap there was in the average American as to what money means and what it represents and how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what drove me into the industry.
And where did you start in the industry?
Oh, I started for a large broker-dealer life insurance / company, as many of us did back in the day. Although I did the investments fairly well, I wasn't that good on the life insurance side of it. But
so, and then you started your own company with Scott, is that right?
yeah, Scott Hanson and I started the company, I think, 24 years ago. or so. It's been good fun.
Yeah. Well, you're a wonder at marketing, and you guys must have gotten together and said, well, we're great at what we do, but we have to let people know that. Something like that?
Yeah. So, any good firm, as a component of the firm, has a marketing department, as we do. So we have, I think, 19 advisors, 2 chartered financial analysts. Most of our advisors are CFPs or CHFCs, most of them, with the exception of a few. We have finance department, IT department, marketing departments, just like any other big corporation. And even if that one department starts with an individual, they were responsible for marketing. And I think you're doing the same thing, because what you do, Michael, is you're great estate trust litigator. But, how do people find you? Because most people hope to never employ someone like you.
Right.
No one that wakes up in the morning and says, boy, I hope to hire an estate and trust litigator sometime this year.
Yeah, I really want to talk about a lawsuit today.
Yes.
Yeah. Usually people don't have a big smile on their face when they're doing it. But
yeah, they find you by mistake or on purpose?
Well, no, they find us on usually on Google or other similar search engines or YouTube. And our attitude with that is probably like yours. I've done this a long time, 41 years now, but people have to know about it.
Yeah.
And you can be I know I've looked, you've got all these fabulous ratings, but people don't know about those things unless they somehow get out. As you say, it's the marketing people that need to get them out.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is terrific about things like marketing and social media, and I know you, with all the things you do, the speaking, radio shows, writing, meeting with clients, is I think that your clients teach you a great deal. And of course, and you have over 7,000 clients, and it seems like the more that you talk to your clients, the more you learn. So I'd ask you about that. What do you think that you've really learned from people?
So, well, I learned at the end of the day, every situation is unique. They might look similar, but every situation is 100% unique. Never be surprised by what people will do, both good and bad. And that people want to be responsible. They just want to know why they should be responsible. No one wants to exert any energy unless it's got some value at the end. And so clients want to be engaged in a financial planning process, but they need to be assured that it's actually worth the time and energy expended in a process.
Right.
Which is very similar to what you do.
It's very similar. They need to see, you need to establish the goal. They need to want the goal, so be somewhat emotionally committed to the goal. As if that doesn't happen, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
So I wanted one thing that you'd said, which I think, when an aside, that lawyers really don't know how to do marketing. And so give me some insight on that, because you've probably dealt with thousands of lawyers.
So first of all, I should say that I probably don't know how to do marketing, but I'm smart. The firm, my partner and I, are smart enough to know that marketing is a component of the firm that's important. So we have a marketing department and have had someone in marketing for years and years and years. So it may not be that lawyers don't know how, it's that they don't place any importance on it.
That makes sense.
Right. So it's I may or may not understand marketing completely, but it's a part of what you do. And it's a hard thing in business because marketing is a proactive event, and most businesses act in a reactive manner.
Right.
So it's a hard thing to marketing. Plus, you're spending money hoping something good happens.
Yeah.
It's just an investment.
Sometimes it takes a while.
Sometimes it doesn't work at all, and sometimes it works incredibly.
That's right. Sometimes you have the perfect failure, and other times it's terrific.
Yeah.
So you deal with trust all the time, because people invest with their trust, and they have retirement trust and all kinds of trust. And because I deal with the meltdown of trust, I'd love to hear some stories from you as to what you've seen in trust kind of meltdowns or things that you've seen that seem to be a common problem.
So in the state of California, if you have any sort of net worth whatsoever, we encourage trust and strongly encourage them for our clients. So someone will come in and give you their life savings and you say, okay, you should do a trust and trust. Well, it isn't unusual. It's not unusual at all to get a phone call that says my mom or dad or my husband or wife is close to the end. We'd like to do a trust. I've seen them done 3 days before death, 2 days before death, 1 day before death, where the attorney's actually going out, making sure they're of right mind. That isn't a great time for estate planning, by the way. There's not a whole lot of thought and energy that goes into that.
Right.
And as a result of that, you see that mistakes are being made. People are inadvertently disinherited. You see that bypass trusts aren't either properly set up. You see children from a previous marriage disinherited, which is the end result is what you see.
Right.
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 And if you think putting a trust together is a pain in the butt, just think what happens you're doing to your family if the trust is done poorly, because it ends up in law offices like yours.
Right.
Also, what we see is these poorly constructed trusts that they get them from trust mills.
Right.
You probably litigate a couple of those.
Oh, I've seen it, and they're amazingly bad. And even the trust mill can't explain what it really does. And usually it says it does one thing and does another. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And so for the rest of the listeners, the trust mill is where you'll see those. So, come to coffee at Coco's this morning or Denny's, and we're going to buy you breakfast. Oh, and by the way, if you invest $10,000 or $20,000 in this annuity, you get free trust. What they're trying to do is get a look at your assets to try to manage those.
Right.
That's what we see. And it's terrible because families come together at a death in the family or break apart. Or sometimes they come together, then break apart because of someone feeling slighted one way or the other because of how someone who's passed away treated them or didn't treat them, or maybe just an oversight.
Absolutely.
Right.
Sometimes just an oversight.
And it's just an oversight, and they didn't mean anything. But maybe it was poor legal advice.
Right.
So that's what we see in the trust, and we think the trusts are quite important. Quite important.
The other part of the trust is here, your firm goes about helping people with financial advice and making the money and setting aside their retirement. And the people at times, the lawyers preparing these things at times forget to transfer in securities and other kinds of assets into the trust. Now, that may not completely destroy all the positive aspects of the trust, but it certainly delays administration.
Yes.
And costs money.
Yeah, because then hopefully they get picked up by some sort of pour over will or whatever the name for it is today.
No, that's what it is, yeah.
And then dump back in the trust.
Yeah.
That's pretty common.
Yeah. We have to file lawsuits to get them back in the trust. They're not really adverse lawsuits, but it takes time and money.
Yeah. And it just slows down the process. So that's why a trust that is done properly with the help of, if someone has any assets, to make sure they're transferred in is really, really important.
Yeah. Well, Pat, I really think you're a visionary. I've known you a long time. You've seen great things that you do. So I'm going to use the Walt Disney quote. If you can dream it, you can do it. You've done lots. So dreaming, what are you looking out for in the next 5 years?
So that our firm grows to the point that we can give completely holistic advice to a client, which means possibly in-house accounting and legal services. We're exploring that right now, and that we grow it at least into a large regional firm. And probably the reason why is we're a fairly decent sized firm, and you like us or don't like us, we try to do the right thing for our clients, and we see the aftermath of really bad advice on a weekly basis. If you come to Hanson McClain, I know that we're going to do our best to serve you. versus if you go someplace else, we have no idea what's going to happen. And our industry is filled with bad people.
Yeah.
Financial services.
That's well said. If you come to Hanson McClain, you're going to do the best you can to serve them. That's
Yes,
an
I'm sure you
example
do.
It's an example for all of us.
I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah. I thank you, Pat.
Thanks.